Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you today about something that's holding so many people back: overthinking. We analyze, we second guess, we replay scenarios in our minds over and over again. Instead of stepping forward in faith, we let doubt and worry talk us out of what God has already prepared for us. But let me tell you, there's power in not thinking too much. Some opportunities don't require another round of analysis. They require action. Some blessings are already set in motion, but overthinking delays them. Some battles are won simply by trusting that God has already gone before you. Have you ever had a moment where you knew in your heart what you needed to do, but then your mind started coming up with all the reasons why it wouldn't work? What if I fail? What if they say no? What if it's the wrong time? Friend, when you overthink, you talk yourself out of the very thing you've been praying for. When the Israelites stood at the edge of the Red Sea, they didn't have time to sit down and weigh all their options. They didn't have time to overanalyze the situation. God said, move forward. And when they did, the waters parted. Some of you are waiting for every detail to be perfect, every question to be answered, every fear to be gone, but faith doesn't work like that. You don't have to figure everything out to move forward. The scripture says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. That means there will be times when what you see doesn't make sense, but that's when you have to stop overthinking and start believing. That's when you have to say, God, I don't understand it, but I trust you. I'm not saying be reckless. I'm not saying ignore wisdom. But what I am saying is, don't let analysis turn into paralysis. Don't let fear disguise itself as wisdom. There are dreams in your heart that God has placed there for a reason. If you wait for all the conditions to be perfect, you'll never take that step of faith. So today I encourage you, release the need to overthink. Trust that God is guiding your steps. When you walk in faith, you will see doors open that you never could have opened on your own. You will step into favor, into healing, into breakthroughs, not because you figured it all out, but because you had the courage to move forward without overthinking. Your destiny is too great to be delayed by doubt. Stop overthinking and start trusting. Keep walking, keep believing, and watch how God takes you further than you ever imagined. Amen. So many times in life, we find ourselves stuck not because we lack ability, not because we don't have the resources, but because we overthink. We analyze everything, replay every scenario, consider all the what ifs, and before we know it, we've talked ourselves out of what we were meant to step into. It's not that we don't have opportunities, it's that we hesitate, waiting for everything to be perfect, waiting for every detail to make sense. But here's the truth, overthinking can rob you of your destiny. Overthinking can delay what was meant for you. Overthinking can cause you to miss the moments where you were supposed to step forward in boldness. Sometimes you don't need another opinion. You don't need another sign. You don't need to spend another week, another month, another year debating if you should move forward. The opportunity is already there. The door is already open. The question is, are you willing to step through it without having all the answers? Throughout life, there will be moments when you feel something in your heart so strongly, a dream, a direction, an idea that you know was placed in you for a reason, but then your mind gets involved. Thoughts of doubt, thoughts of fear, thoughts of insecurity try to talk you out of it. What if it doesn't work? What if people don't support me? What if I fail? But what if instead of thinking yourself out of it, you decided to believe? What if instead of overanalyzing, you step forward with confidence? What if you chose to trust that everything you need will be provided at the right time? There are so many people who miss out on their greatest blessings not because they weren't capable, not because they weren't called, but because they couldn't get past their own thoughts. They spent so much time reasoning, questioning, doubting that they never took action. Imagine how different life would be if, instead of overthinking, you chose to move forward in confidence. Imagine the doors that would open if you stopped waiting for everything to be perfect and just took the first step. Think about the moments in your past when you took a risk, when you made a decision without knowing all the details. Looking back, you can see how things worked out. You can see how what you thought was uncertain was actually divinely orchestrated. That same principle applies to your life right now. If you are always trying to figure everything out before you move, you will spend your whole life waiting. Sometimes you just have to move forward. You have to trust that what is ahead is greater than what you are leaving behind. There will never be a perfect time to start. There will never be a perfect time to step into the next level. At some point, you just have to decide, I'm not going to overthink this anymore. I'm not going to let fear hold me back. I'm not going to wait for all the conditions to be perfect. Opportunities don't wait forever. There are windows of time when you have to step forward, or else you risk missing out. You don't want to look back years from now and realize you let overthinking keep you from the life you were meant to live. You have to get to a place where you say, I may not have all the answers, but I have peace about this direction. I may not see the whole path, but I trust that each step will be revealed as I move forward. If you're always trying to make sure everything is perfectly lined up before you take action, you'll stay stuck in the same place year after year. Growth comes when you step into the unknown. Progress happens when you move forward, even when you don't have every detail worked out. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in life come when you stop hesitating and start trusting. You might not understand how everything will work out, but you don't have to. Your job is to take the step. Your job is to keep moving forward. So many times we want to see the whole staircase before we take the first step. But that's not how life works. That's not how purpose unfolds. Most of the time, you see one step at a time. And as you take that step, the next one is revealed. But if you refuse to take that first step, you won't see the next one. If you overthink, analyze, and reason yourself out of moving forward, you'll never discover the full picture. Every person who has ever done something great had to take a step without knowing all the details. Every success story you hear about started with a moment of uncertainty. But instead of letting that uncertainty paralyze them, they chose to move forward anyway. What's holding you back today? What have you been thinking about for weeks, months, or even years, but haven't acted on because you're waiting for the perfect moment? The perfect moment is now. The right time is now. If you keep overthinking, you'll always find a reason to delay. You'll always come up with an excuse. I'll do it when I have more money. I'll do it when I feel more qualified. I'll do it when I have more support. But the truth is, you don't need all of that to get started. You just need to take the first step. There are doors waiting to open for you. There are opportunities waiting for you to step into them. But those doors won't open until you move. Those opportunities won't be revealed until you decide, I'm not waiting anymore. I'm not hesitating anymore. I'm not overthinking anymore. The greatest things in life come when you step into the unknown. When you move forward, not because you have all the answers, but because you trust that what's ahead is better than what's behind. It's time to stop overthinking and start trusting. Stop analyzing and start believing. Stop waiting and start walking. The moment you stop letting your thoughts control you, you'll feel a new sense of freedom. A new confidence will rise up in you. You'll find yourself making decisions faster, moving forward with clarity, and stepping into things you never thought possible. Don't let another year pass by while you sit on the sidelines waiting for everything to make sense. Life is short. Your time is valuable. You weren't meant to live stuck in hesitation, fear, and uncertainty. Make the decision today, I'm going to stop overthinking. I'm going to step forward with confidence. I'm going to trust that what's ahead of me is greater than what I'm leaving behind. When you do that, you'll step into new opportunities, new blessings, and new levels of purpose. Not because you had everything figured out, but because you chose to trust instead of overthink. This is your time. Step forward and don't look back. There comes a time in life when you have to decide that you are no longer going to be ruled by confusion, hesitation, or uncertainty. So many people go through their days feeling unsettled, unsure of what to do next, stuck between choices, constantly second-guessing themselves. They go back and forth, weighing every possibility, analyzing every option, trying to predict every outcome. But in the process, they lose their peace, they delay decisions, they stay in a state of mental exhaustion because their minds never rest. Overthinking creates confusion. It causes you to live in a fog where everything feels overwhelming, where every choice feels difficult. But life was never meant to be lived in that kind of frustration. You were not created to live in a place of constant uncertainty. There is a better way. Imagine waking up every morning with a sense of confidence, knowing deep down that you are moving in the right direction. Imagine what it would feel like to trust yourself, to make decisions without agonizing over every little detail. Imagine stepping into opportunities without the weight of doubt holding you back. That is possible when you learn to quiet your mind, trust the direction you are being led, and move forward without fear. That is possible when you stop analyzing every little thing and start trusting that the right path will become clear as you walk forward. There are so many people waiting for every detail to make sense before they take action. They think, when I'm 100% sure, when everything lines up perfectly, then I'll move forward. But that's not how life works. That's not how success happens. Most of the time, clarity doesn't come before the step, it comes after. You don't always get the answers before you move. You don't always see the full picture before you take the first step. Many of the things you are unsure about right now become clear once you step out and do what's in your heart to do. Have you ever looked back on a situation and thought, now it all makes sense? At the time, you were confused. You didn't understand why things were happening the way they were. But as time passed, it became clear that everything was unfolding exactly the way it needed to. That same principle applies to what you're facing right now. The problem isn't that you don't have direction, it's that you're overanalyzing everything to the point of confusion. The more you overthink, the harder it becomes to make decisions. The more you second guess yourself, the more uncertain you feel. But here's the truth, deep down, you already know what to do. You already know which direction is right for you. You already know what is best for your future. The problem is your mind keeps bringing up doubts, worries, and fears that cloud your judgment. When you stop overthinking, when you stop analyzing every little detail, when you stop letting fear dictate your decisions, you will begin to see the path clearly. You will recognize the right opportunities. You will feel peace about moving forward. There are moments in life when you have to silence the noise. You have to stop looking for outside opinions. You have to stop waiting for every little thing to make perfect sense. Instead, you have to trust what you already know in your heart. Sometimes we make things more complicated than they need to be. We convince ourselves that we need more time, more proof, more certainty. But the reality is we don't need more information, we just need to trust what we already know. Think about a time when you made a quick decision and it turned out to be the right one. You didn't overthink it. You didn't stress over it. You just knew it was the right move. That's because in that moment you weren't weighed down by doubt. You weren't stuck in analysis paralysis. You simply acted on what you knew to be true. That is how life is meant to be lived. With confidence, with boldness, with trust in the direction you are headed. When you operate from a place of clarity, everything changes. You become more productive. You make better choices. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You stop stressing over things that don't deserve your energy. When you have a clear mind, you don't get distracted by what other people think. You don't let fear dictate your actions. You don't allow unnecessary worries to cloud your judgment. You simply move forward, trusting that the right things will fall into place. Have you ever been in a situation where everything felt complicated, but then one day, something just clicked? Suddenly, everything made sense. Suddenly, you knew exactly what to do. That is what happens when you stop overthinking. That is what happens when you let go of the need to control every little detail and simply trust that the right answers will come at the right time. Too often, people waste years of their lives in confusion, not because they don't know what to do, but because they are afraid to commit to a decision. They are afraid of making a mistake. They are afraid of choosing the wrong path. But here's something to remember. The worst decision you can make is no decision at all. Staying stuck, staying indecisive, staying in a place of hesitation, that is what robs you of the future you were meant to step into. You don't have to have everything figured out to move forward. You don't have to wait until you feel 100% certain. All you have to do is take the next step that is in front of you. Some of the best moments in life happen when you simply decide to trust. When you decide that you are no longer going to waste time questioning everything. When you decide that you are no longer going to be held back by fear. Once you stop overanalyzing, you will start to see opportunities you never noticed before. Once you stop second-guessing yourself, you will begin to feel a new sense of freedom. Once you start moving forward, you will realize that things are much simpler than you made them out to be. Right now, there is something in your life that you have been thinking about for too long. A decision, a change, an opportunity that you know deep down is right for you, but you've been hesitating because you are afraid of making the wrong move. The time for overthinking is over. The time for waiting is over. You already have the answer. You already know what to do. You don't have to wait for everything to be perfect. You don't have to wait until all the fear is gone. You just have to make a decision and trust that the right things will happen as you move forward. Clarity comes when you stop looking for more signs and start trusting the direction you already feel inside. The answers will come. The right doors will open. But you have to take that first step. It's time to stop overthinking and start living. It's time to let go of the confusion and walk forward with confidence. It's time to trust that the path will unfold exactly as it's meant to. Move forward and don't look back. Everything you need will become clear along the way. There comes a point in life where you have to decide that you are no longer going to shrink back, no longer going to live in fear, no longer going to second guess yourself at every turn. You have to make the choice to rise up, to step into the fullness of who you were created to be, and to walk boldly into the opportunities ahead of you. Too often people hesitate, they hold back, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for every detail to line up, waiting for assurance from others before they take a step forward. But the truth is, waiting will not take you where you want to go. There will never be a perfect time. There will never be a moment where all fear is gone, where every question is answered, or where every risk disappears. You have to make the decision to go forward in spite of the uncertainty, in spite of the unknowns, in spite of the fear trying to hold you back. Many times the only thing standing between where you are and where you want to be is the way you see yourself. If you do not believe in yourself, if you do not see yourself as capable, as strong, as worthy, then it will not matter how many opportunities come your way. You will always find a reason to hesitate, always find an excuse to stay where you are. But when you recognize what is already inside of you, when you embrace the strength, the ability, the potential that has been placed within you, suddenly everything changes. You no longer look at challenges as things that will stop you, but as things you will overcome. You no longer wait for permission to step into your destiny. You simply move forward knowing that you are meant to be there. People who reach new levels in life are not the ones who never feel afraid, never doubt themselves, never face obstacles. They are the ones who feel all of those things but choose to move forward anyway. They decide that they are not going to let fear dictate their choices, not going to let uncertainty keep them stuck, not going to allow past failures to define what is possible for their future. They understand that setbacks are part of the process, that every challenge carries a lesson, that every obstacle is an opportunity to grow stronger. The way you carry yourself, the way you walk into a room, the way you approach situations, all of these things shape how others perceive you, but more importantly, shape how you perceive yourself. If you constantly doubt your abilities, constantly question whether you belong, constantly look to others for validation, then you are putting your future in their hands. But when you walk forward with assurance, when you know that you have everything you need to succeed, when you trust that you are in the right place at the right time, you create momentum in your life. You attract opportunities that match your mindset. You open doors that were always meant for you, but that required you to step forward with boldness in order to walk through them. Think about the moments in your life when you felt unstoppable, when you didn't question yourself, when you simply acted on what you knew to be true. Those were the moments when you were fully in alignment with the person you were created to be. Those were the moments when you weren't weighed down by overthinking, by doubt, by hesitation. What would happen if you lived like that every day? What if instead of constantly wondering whether you are good enough, whether you have what it takes, whether you will succeed, you simply step forward with the belief that you are more than enough? What if you stopped focusing on everything that could go wrong and started focusing on everything that could go right? Too often people look around at others and assume that they have something special, something they themselves don't possess. They think, they must have been born with a talent I don't have. They must have an ability that I lack. But the truth is, the only real difference between those who go after what they want and those who don't is that one group chooses to believe that they are capable that they are ready, that they belong. They don't waste time comparing themselves to others. Don't waste energy questioning whether they deserve success. They focus on what is ahead. They take action. They keep moving forward even when the path is unclear. When you step into a new opportunity, a new challenge, a new level in life, there will always be reasons to feel unprepared. There will always be moments when you wonder if you have what it takes, but you don't need to have all the answers before you start. You don't need to wait until you feel completely ready. The truth is, growth happens when you step into situations that stretch you, that challenge you, that push you beyond what you thought was possible. And as you move forward, as you take those steps, you begin to see what you are truly capable of. You begin to realize that you were ready all along. When you stop waiting for outside approval, when you stop needing validation from others, when you stop depending on circumstances to determine your mindset, you step into a new level of freedom. You no longer rely on things around you to tell you what you are worth because you already know. You don't need people to confirm that you belong because you have already decided that you do. You don't need everything to be perfect before you take action because you understand that the only thing that matters is your willingness to move forward. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in life come the moment you stop hesitating and start acting on what you already know. When you stop letting doubt control your decisions. When you stop waiting for someone to give you permission to go after what is in your heart. When you step up and take action without second guessing yourself, everything begins to shift. Doors open that you never expected. Opportunities appear that you never imagined. People take notice not because you are the most talented, the most skilled, or the most prepared, but because you have the willingness to step forward and claim what is meant for you. There is something in your life right now that you have been hesitating on, something that you have been thinking about, analyzing, questioning, waiting for the right time to pursue. But the time is now. The right moment is now. You already have what it takes. You already have everything you need. The only thing left to do is to take action, to step into the opportunity that is in front of you, to trust that you are ready, that you are capable, that you are more than enough. The future belongs to those who refuse to shrink back, to those who refuse to let fear stop them, to those who understand that life is too short to wait, too precious to waste on self-doubt, too valuable to be spent playing small. There is something great ahead of you. There are opportunities waiting for you to claim them. There are moments ahead that will define the course of your life. The only question is, will you step forward and take hold of them? Will you choose to trust that you have what it takes? Will you decide right now that you are going to move forward with boldness, with strength, with assurance? You don't have to wait for everything to be perfect. You don't have to wait until you feel completely fearless. All you have to do is take that first step. The path will become clear as you walk it. The answers will come as you move forward. Everything you need will show up at the right time. The only thing required of you is to decide that you are ready and to move forward with the belief that you are stepping into something greater than you ever imagined. There is a way of living where nothing on the outside can shake what is on the inside. A way of moving through life where circumstances may change, where challenges may arise, where unexpected situations may come, yet deep within there remains a stillness, an assurance, a sense of calm that cannot be disrupted. It is not dependent on everything going perfectly. It is not dictated by the actions of others. It is not something that can be taken away by external events. It is something that comes from within, something that is cultivated over time, something that becomes the foundation upon which everything else is built. So many people go through life feeling unsettled. Their minds are always racing, always analyzing, always running through possibilities, always preparing for worst-case scenarios. They live in a constant state of worry, always thinking about what might go wrong, always replaying past mistakes, always fearing the unknown. It drains their energy. It steals their joy, keeps them from fully experiencing the moment they are in because they are either stuck in the past or worried about the future. They may try to find relief in distractions, in accomplishments, in the approval of others, but none of those things can provide what they are truly searching for. There comes a moment when a person must make a choice to continue living in a state of stress, always reacting to what is happening around them, or to decide that no matter what comes, they will remain steady. There is a strength that comes with this decision. It is not about ignoring problems or pretending that difficulties don't exist. It is about knowing deep down that nothing outside of oneself has the power to control the way one feels. It is about realizing that no situation, no setback, no challenge can dictate what happens internally. This way of living is not something that happens automatically. It is something that must be built. It begins with letting go of what cannot be controlled. There are things in life that no amount of effort, no amount of theory, no amount of thinking will change. Dwelling on them does not solve them. Obsessing over them does not improve them. Holding on to them only creates frustration. But the moment a person realizes that they are free to release the things they cannot change, they step into a new way of living. There is great relief in understanding that not everything requires a reaction. Not every comment needs a response. Not every difficulty needs to consume thoughts and energy. There are things that can be observed, acknowledged, and then released. There are moments when the best decision is to step back, to refuse to engage in unnecessary battles, to choose to focus on what truly matters. This is not weakness. It is strength. It takes more strength to walk away from things that do not serve a greater purpose than it does to constantly engage in conflict, in stress, in the never-ending cycle of worry. The ability to remain calm in the face of difficulty does not mean that challenges will not come. It does not mean that there will not be moments of frustration, of uncertainty, of difficulty. But it means that those moments will not control the direction of life. It means that no matter what happens, there will always be a steady foundation to stand on. So much of life is about perspective. Two people can go through the exact same situation, yet experience it in completely different ways. One person may feel overwhelmed, stressed, exhausted by the weight of it, while the other remains steady, unshaken, able to move through it with grace. The difference is not in what is happening around them, it is in what is happening inside of them. There is power in deciding to remain calm no matter what comes. There is power in choosing not to be moved by every difficulty, every challenge, every unexpected situation. There is power in standing firm, knowing that no external event has the ability to take away what is on the inside. This does not mean ignoring emotions. It does not mean pretending that struggles do not exist. It means recognizing that even in the midst of those struggles, there is still a choice to remain steady, a choice to respond rather than react, a choice to let go of what is beyond control and focus on what truly matters. When a person no longer allows outside circumstances to determine their inner state, they experience freedom. They no longer feel the need to prove themselves. They no longer live in fear of what others may think or say. They no longer carry the weight of trying to control everything around them. They understand that true strength is not in force, not in striving, not in constantly trying to manage every detail. True strength is in being able to remain steady in the midst of uncertainty. There is a confidence that comes with this understanding, a confidence that is not based on titles, on achievements, on possessions, or on the approval of others. It is a confidence that is rooted in knowing that no matter what happens, everything will work out as it should. It is a confidence that is not shaken by failures, by disappointments, by unexpected turns in the road. It is a confidence that does not fade when things do not go as planned. People who live this way carry a presence about them. They do not rush. They do not allow pressure to dictate their actions. They do not let temporary challenges throw them off course. They walk through life with a sense of assurance, knowing that they do not have to force things to happen, knowing that they do not have to carry burdens that were never meant to be theirs, knowing that they do not have to allow anything outside of themselves to determine the way they feel. It does not mean that difficulties do not come. It does not mean that there are never moments of frustration, of sadness, of uncertainty. But it does mean that those moments do not define the course of their lives. They recognize that every difficulty is temporary, that every challenge carries with it an opportunity to grow, that every situation can be met with a calm, steady response rather than fear and anxiety. There is nothing more powerful than a person who refuses to be controlled by circumstances. There is nothing stronger than someone who remains steady in the midst of chaos, who does not allow the outside world to determine what happens on the inside. There is a freedom that comes when a person no longer feels the need to fight every battle, to control every outcome, to hold on to things that are beyond their influence. Life is too short to live in a constant state of stress. There are too many beautiful moments to experience, too many opportunities to embrace, too many incredible things waiting to unfold. Every day spent in worry is a day that could have been lived in joy. Every moment spent in frustration is a moment that could have been filled with gratitude. The choice is always there. The opportunity to let go, to release what does not serve a greater purpose, to step into a way of living that is marked by assurance, by steadiness, by an unshakable foundation. This is not something that happens overnight. It is built step by step, decision by decision, moment by moment. Every time a person chooses not to engage in unnecessary stress, every time they choose to focus on what truly matters, every time they choose to respond with calmness rather than react with frustration, they strengthen this foundation. It becomes a way of living, a way of thinking, a way of moving through the world with confidence. No matter what comes, no matter what changes, no matter what challenges arise, there is always the ability to remain steady. There is always the power to decide that nothing on the outside has the ability to disrupt what is on the inside. There is always the choice to move forward, free from the weight of unnecessary worry, free from the burden of trying to control everything, free to fully experience life as it was meant to be lived. There comes a moment in life when thinking is no longer enough, when planning and preparing are no longer enough, when talking about what needs to be done is no longer enough. There comes a moment when the only thing left to do is to step forward, to take the first step, to move beyond hesitation, beyond fear, beyond uncertainty, and do what has been waiting to be done. So many people spend their days thinking about what they want, dreaming about what their life could be, imagining what would happen if they finally took that step. But imagining alone does not create change. Hoping alone does not bring results. Wishing for something to happen does not make it happen. At some point, a decision has to be made. A decision to stop waiting, to stop postponing, to stop coming up with reasons why now is not the right time. A decision to move, to act, to go after what has been placed in the heart to pursue. Every great achievement, every success, every dream that has ever come to life started with someone making a choice to move forward. The people who reach new levels are not always the most talented, the most skilled, or the most prepared. They are simply the ones who decide that they will no longer wait for everything to be perfect before they take action. They are the ones who step out even when they feel unqualified, even when they feel afraid, even when they do not have all the answers. They understand that movement creates momentum, that action opens doors, that taking the first step makes the second step clearer. There are so many waiting for a sign, waiting for confirmation, waiting for everything to be lined up before they begin. But the truth is, clarity often comes after the first step, not before. Understanding comes in the process, not in the hesitation. The right opportunities, the right connections, the right resources often appear only after the decision to move has been made. There are things waiting on the other side of action that will never be seen as long as hesitation remains. There is something powerful about movement. It shifts energy. It breaks stagnation. It separates those who wish from those who do. It sends a signal that says, I am no longer waiting. I am stepping forward now. And when that happens, things begin to align in ways that could never be predicted. Doors begin to open. Solutions begin to appear. Strength begins to rise. What once seemed impossible now looks within reach. What once felt uncertain now feels like the only logical next step. Too often people convince themselves that they are not ready, that they need more time, that they need more preparation. But the reality is, many of the things that hold people back are simply excuses disguised as logical reasons. It is not a lack of ability, not a lack of resources, not a lack of opportunity. It is the fear of stepping into the unknown. It is the fear of what might go wrong. It is the fear of failure. But what if failure was never the true enemy? What if the greatest risk was not taking action at all? Nothing great has ever been accomplished without a willingness to step into uncertainty. Every major breakthrough in history has come from someone deciding that they would no longer be held back by fear, that they would no longer accept the limitations placed upon them, that they would no longer settle for where they were. Every person who has ever reached a new level has had to step beyond comfort, beyond what was familiar, beyond what was safe. The difference between those who remain stuck and those who move forward is not in ability, but in willingness. It is in the choice to act even when the outcome is unclear. It is in the decision to keep going even when things do not immediately work out as planned. It is in the determination to keep pressing forward even when obstacles arise. Breakthroughs do not happen by accident. They do not come to those who sit and hope. They come to those who persist, to those who refuse to stop, to those who understand that every challenge is another step on the path to where they are meant to be. They come to those who keep showing up, who keep putting in the effort, who keep believing even when nothing seems to be changing. There are moments when it feels like nothing is working, like every step forward is met with resistance, like no matter how much effort is put in, nothing seems to change. But those are the moments when persistence matters the most. Those are the moments when so many give up, not realizing that they were closer than they thought. There are times when things feel the hardest just before everything shifts. A breakthrough does not always come in the way that is expected. Sometimes it is not one big moment, but a series of small moments, a series of small steps that eventually lead to something greater than imagined. Sometimes it comes after doors have closed, after plans have failed, after everything seemed to go wrong. But those who refuse to stop, those who refuse to settle, those who continue to move forward will always find that their persistence was not in vain. There is no shortcut to success. There is no way to bypass the process. There is no path to greatness that does not require taking action. But every step taken, no matter how small, builds strength. Every effort made, no matter how insignificant it seems, creates momentum. Every time a person chooses to push forward instead of giving up, they are moving closer to the breakthrough they have been waiting for. So many people quit just before they reach their moment of breakthrough. They let frustration convince them that it is not worth it. They let setbacks make them believe that they are not meant to continue. They let the opinions of others shake their confidence. Let delays make them question whether they are on the right path. But if they could see how close they were, if they could see what was just beyond the next obstacle, just beyond the next challenge, they would never consider giving up. There is always a choice to keep waiting, to keep postponing, to keep coming up with reasons why now is not the right time. Or a choice to move forward, to step into the unknown, to trust that everything needed will be provided along the way. The only thing that guarantees failure is never starting. The only way to stay stuck is to refuse to move. The only way to miss the breakthrough that is waiting is to stop before it arrives. No matter where someone is in life, no matter what they have been through, no matter how many times they have tried before, there is always an opportunity to begin again. There is always another step that can be taken. There is always another door waiting to be opened. And the moment a person decides to move, to step forward, despite the doubts, despite the fears, despite the unknowns, that is the moment when everything begins to shift. The time for hesitation is over. The time for waiting is over. The time for coming up with reasons to delay is over. Everything needed is already within reach. The opportunity is already there. The path is already opening. The only thing left to do is to take action, to move forward, to step boldly into what has been waiting all along. And in that movement, in that decision, in that moment of refusing to stay where things have always been, the breakthrough begins. There comes a moment in life when waiting is no longer an option, when hesitation can no longer be tolerated, when the only way forward is to act. Every dream, every breakthrough, every moment of transformation is waiting on the other side of a decision, the decision to move, to step out, to take hold of what has been placed inside the heart. It is not about having everything figured out. It is not about knowing every detail of the journey ahead. It is about trusting that the path will unfold as each step is taken. No more postponing. No more second guessing. No more allowing fear to dictate the course of life. There is something greater ahead, something waiting to be unlocked, something that can only be accessed by moving beyond hesitation, beyond comfort, beyond what is familiar. Everything needed is already within reach. The strength, the wisdom, the courage, the ability, it is already there. The only thing left to do is to act. Breakthrough does not come to those who wait for the perfect moment. It comes to those who dare to take imperfect steps, to those who persist even when they don't see immediate results, to those who refuse to quit even when the road gets difficult. The moment of hesitation is over. The moment of breakthrough is here. Now is the time to step forward, to rise higher, to claim everything that has been waiting all along. Now is the time to act.